समझ नहीं आ रहा अपने सैलरी इंक्रीमेंट का क्या करूं।
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स के एसआईपी का टॉप अप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
क्या समझ में नहीं आया?
बेटा इतना क्या सोच रहा है? अपने म्यूचुअल फंड्स का एसआईपी टॉप अप करा ले। दिस इज द राइट टाइम।
अब समझा।
Mutual fund investments are subject to market risks. Read all scheme-related documents carefully.
The signing of the Gaza Peace Pact in Egypt turned into something that looked like a personal pantomime show being run by American President Donald Trump. Whether it was the snubbing of UK Prime Minister Keir Starmer, the praise for Pakistan's army chief Asim Munir, who was called Trump's favorite field marshal, the reference to Prime Minister Modi as a good friend, the cringe-worthy complimenting of the Italian Prime Minister's good looks, and many other mic drop moments. It made many Indians believe, who may have thought otherwise before they saw this spectacle unfold, thank God Prime Minister Modi wasn't part of that photo frame. But the geopolitical questions still remain alive and well, and in fact, to a large extent, unanswered and unpredictable. India's strategic resets in the age of Trump and now an emboldened Trump are still a work in progress. The visit of the Taliban Foreign Minister Mutaqi is only one such example. But with Trump's public praise of Pakistan, in fact, asking Pakistan to take the podium, something he denied to Keir Starmer, how might this impact dynamics with India where the tariff issue remains unresolved? I'm Barkha Dutt. You're with the Mojo Story. On the program today, we look at drama Trump style. We are, after all, living in the age of Trump. And what was meant to be a somber moment, a moment for the signing of a Gaza pact, for which Trump can, of course, claim credit, Trump chose to make it about his favorites, those he liked, those he didn't like. He literally prompted Pakistan's Prime Minister Shehbaz Sharif to quote unquote, repeat what you just told me. And Shehbaz Sharif obliged. He flattered Trump, he praised Trump, he repeated Trump's position on the India-Pakistan so-called ceasefire and Operation Sindoor, and he then once again said that Trump should get the Nobel Prize. Trump introduced him by referencing Asim Munir to be his favorite field marshal. Keir Starmer, who walked tentatively up to the podium, was sent back without an opportunity to speak. There you can see that on your screen. And then there was the politically incorrect lavishing of compliments for the Italian Prime Minister Meloni. He prefaced those compliments by saying that, you know, in this politically correct world, you could lose your job for complimenting a woman on her good looks, but he was going to take his chances anyway. Modi was invited to this signing of the peace pact, but chose to send a representative instead. And many might say, thank God, the Prime Minister was not part of this frame. But where this leaves India-US dynamics is still a big question. Sergio Gore, there you see him on your screen, Trump's man for Delhi, has met with the Prime Minister. In the meantime, there is unrest in our neighboring country, Pakistan, but this unrest is not being reported on Pakistan's TV channels. This is the group TLP protesting against the regime's support for Trump's Gaza plan. You just saw Shehbaz Sharif flatter Trump like nobody before. So a lot to talk about, even as the Taliban foreign minister is still right here in India, meeting with everybody from Deoband to the FICCI chambers of commerce. I want to introduce our distinguished panel of experts today as we continue to try and understand politics in the age of on the program. Namaskar. Also joining us is military veteran Lieutenant General Kulkarni. It's always a pleasure. Thank you, sir. And we have with us Indrani Bagchi, the CEO of the Ananta Center, stuck, as you might be able to tell from that darkened, grainy image, in a traffic snarl in the national capital, but we hope that we'll still be able to get her insights and her network sort of hold strong. I want to start by playing out the moment when Trump chooses to praise Asim Munir and then virtually turns to Shehbaz Sharif and says, go there and repeat what you were just telling me. Take a look at this clip. It would actually be funny if it weren't with consequences for India's security interests, but have a look.
Prime Minister Sharif of Pakistan, and also I have to say my favorite field marshal from Pakistan, who's not here, but the Prime Minister is here, and you're going to give his regards. Where are you? There you were. Thank you, Ron. Do you want to say what you said to me the other day? And Tim, would you like to say what you said?
Peace has been achieved after untiring efforts. Efforts led by President Trump, who is genuinely a man of peace, who has relentlessly and untiringly worked throughout these months, day in and day out, to make this world a place to live with peace and prosperity.
Now, there was a lot more of that flattery. It actually went on for about 3 minutes. I decided that we should only play a small clip because it makes the point that we're trying to look at, this love fest between Trump and Pakistan. He gave the podium to Pakistan, but not to Keir Starmer, the United Kingdom's leader. I want to get in Ambassador Sachdev's first response, then Indrani, and then General Kulkarni. He did, of course, reference Prime Minister Modi to be his good friend. But do you think, were you watching these little sort of dispatches out of Egypt and thinking, thank God Prime Minister Modi did not go for this, because Modi was called and he chose not to go. He chose to send a representative. Was that your first feeling, Ambassador?
Yes, it was. Can you hear me? Yeah?
Yes.
Oh, okay. I think it was a bromance fest. And only those whom Trump felt secure with were invited to podium. He leveraged this event for whatever it was worth to boost his ego, for megalomania. The declaration that you actually said pact is actually called Trump Declaration for Peace. So, it began with that, and no wonder Shehbaz Sharif, a sycophant in chief, was asked to repeat what he had earlier told Trump in private, and he had no difficulty in parroting the same as it is. I think Indian Prime Minister would have been a bit out of place in that kind of setting, and all of us are grateful that didn't happen. Thank you.
It's interesting because even Shashi Tharoor, before this spectacle, Indrani, he had a comment on social media saying he wondered if India had missed a moment. Why were we missing from this big stage? This was well before all of this tamasha sort of unfolded for the cameras. What was your thought? I mean, there was so much that happened, but from an Indian perspective, to call Asim Munir his favorite field marshal, to give Shehbaz Sharif the stage, not give it to Keir Starmer. Pakistan's cities are burning with riots as the TLP leads protest marches on this very support for Trump's Gaza plan. What went through your mind? There's some speculation that Trump and Modi might meet on the sidelines of the ASEAN in Malaysia. Do you think the situation is in fact conducive for that sort of meeting, Indrani?
Thanks, Barkha, for having me on this show. It's fun as always. It was actually quite disconcerting to watch. I mean, when you were not laughing, it was actually disconcerting when you think about it, because what Trump was literally trying to do was to humiliate other powers. I mean, Keir Starmer, that was a slap on the face to actually elevate Shehbaz Sharif from in favor of Shehbaz Sharif as opposed to Keir Starmer is ridiculous. And then you wonder whether Trump is doing this to sort of cock a snook at India, or is he doing this for something bigger that he plans to do in Pakistan, or is he doing this out of sheer naivete? And you asked about ASEAN. I think the Prime Minister has also been invited to the APEC summit, which he has declined. So yes, whether if there is a meeting between the two in on the sidelines of the ASEAN East Asia Summit at the end of October, I think the Indians would insist that it is a one-on-one meeting, not in the sense that you saw right there.
One of our audience members, General Kulkarni Prasad, says, good that our Prime Minister did not attend the Gaza summit. Erdogan did not want to share the stage with Bibi, that's Netanyahu. And our Prime Minister and all of us didn't want him to share the stage with Pakistan. Time will tell the success of the summit. But is it now just about sharing the stage with Pakistan? That's obviously one part of it. I think the other part of it is that you don't know how Trump is going to behave. For example, he privileged the Pakistan Prime Minister ahead of Keir Starmer, who's supposed to be one of America's closest allies.
Thank you, Barkha. Having heard the distinguished panelists, let me just put in my two bits. I think that's the way we should expect from Trump. Nothing new, because at one end you have the son-in-law, and at the other end you have the son. So you have the cryptocurrency at the one end, and you have the son-in-law taking care of Gaza, he being told as to what is to be done, and he's, the way Trump is. Well, that is exactly the American style, and in the style in which Trump has made America look like. And of course, it's given a huge bump to Shehbaz Sharif, and being called Asim Munir again and again as my favorite field marshal, indicative that all said and done, America has deep interest in Pakistan, and that Pakistan is playing to the gallery of America. There's no denying the fact. Pakistan, irrespective of its relation with China, hasn't hesitated to go along with America at this point of time. You find that Pakistan probably feels cornered if it's only with China, especially after Operation Sindhu, and therefore does not mind bringing in America, showing it back again, Allah, Army, and America in Pakistan. But then, as they say in Pakistan, that all said and done, they do not like the Chinese, but they like China. But for America, they're very clear, they don't like Americans. And that's the way the normal Pakistani would look at America. But irrespective of that, I think Trump, all said and done, propping up Shehbaz Sharif, and well, full credit to Shehbaz Sharif, I must give him, that irrespective of being just propped up, he spoke well. Much that he would have said whatever he wanted to say for his nation, well, praising Trump, obviously he wants to take his country out of the economic crisis they're in, but he spoke well. I don't think Shehbaz Sharif did not make an ass of himself, and most others declined also to come on the podium with him, but he did say whatever he had to say, praising Trump, and of course, you must give it to him. He finally accepted that they had not won the war, because he would have not left this moment to say, thank you, Mr. President, we won the war because of you. He didn't say that. And he said very clearly that, yes, you are responsible for averting a major crisis, but that is clear that Shehbaz understands what to say when and how and to whom.
General Kulkarni, I would argue that Shehbaz Sharif did well on flattering Trump. But he's got a country where his cities are rocked by protests against exactly this support to America. So he's got to walk a really fine sort of wire there. Since we're talking so much about how Starmer, I think Indrani said it was a slap on the face of the UK PM, let me actually play out that precise moment. When I was looking at that moment, it was almost as if Trump was the teacher in a classroom where he was doing the roll call, and everybody else was a student who had to raise their hand, and then Trump decided who was going to be allowed to speak. Starmer obviously came forward to the podium thinking he was going to get his moment, but it didn't happen. Take a look at how this played out.
United Kingdom. Where's United Kingdom? Where's Russia? Come here. Is everything going good?
Very good.
It's very nice that you're here. These people all came in like 20-minute notice, and I think it's fantastic. And we have so many others, and just so many others.
I mean, if anything, this is as it were what was once the mighty empire. Many Indians would be chuckling at this moment, Indrani. The UK Prime Minister is being described as somebody who came at 20 minutes notice. He comes to the podium, he's not allowed to speak, and Shehbaz Sharif is allowed to speak. And Trump, at another point in this speech, also says that he doesn't like many of the people present at this summit. So I mean, honestly, is this comedy? Is this tragedy? Is this tragicomedy? And it is Trump's moment. I mean, even Time magazine has a cover calling this moment Trump's triumph. It's a different matter that Trump didn't like the photograph they chose. But how did you look at what happened with Starmer, especially contrasted with how Sharif was treated?
Yeah, well, I mean, I think I think Starmer has been humiliated now so many times by Trump. He's almost inured to it. But for a viewer, it was cringeworthy to watch the Prime Minister having to be told, "Where are you?" and then being told, "Oh, please go back to where you were." But I mean, if you saw the way the other European leaders behaved as well, if you remember, all 8 or 10 of them lined up for the Ukraine conversation in the Oval Office. I mean, that was equally cringeworthy. The thing is, what Trump is telling them is, I can do what I want with you guys, and you have no option but to accept it. That is a message that is coming through very clearly. The Europeans are equally clear that yes, they will have to suck it up and basically live with this kind of public humiliation. Unfortunately, I don't think any Indian prime minister would be able to deal with something like that, nor would the Indian public allow him to give him that space. And I think the same goes for whether it's a public or not. Certainly, if you noticed, the Asian leaders have stayed away from this kind of public spectacle, whether it is India, whether it's China, even Japan. None of them have showed themselves up in the way that the European leaders have. So there's something to be said for the Asians, I think.
That's an interesting way to look at it. Ambassador, from an Indian perspective, how concerned are you at this gushing sort of praise for Asim Munir? In the middle, it seemed as if Pakistan's honeymoon with the Americans was in trouble because of the domestic opposition that Shehbaz Sharif was facing at home. They tried to backpedal their support for the Trumpian Gaza plan in the National Assembly of Pakistan. But clearly, Shehbaz Sharif standing there, nominating Trump for the Nobel once again, short of lying sort of flat on the ground, literally doing what Trump asked him to do. It will all work in the short term to Pakistan's advantage. How concerned should India be strictly from the perspective of our own interests?
Well, Barkha, allow me the luxury of a few seconds. As an Arabist who has monitored this area for about 40 years, let me say this. Americans are very possessive about Middle East. The Pax Americana that they want to impose does not include European Union or Britain. In fact, those are competing countries. They would take away the sort of stranglehold that Americans have had on Gulf in particular. Secondly, Pakistan helps them to keep that Pax Americana. Americans are not going to be bothered about boots on ground anymore. Trump doesn't want that, even though Americans do have something like 60,000 troops in various locales in the Gulf and Middle East. The Pakistanis are supposed to do that kind of dirty work of boots on ground, fighting battles, and keeping the regimes in place. So it's a symbiotic relationship. from American perspective for Gulf and Middle East security. Now, the International Stabilization Force that is being formed for Gaza would have that role for Pakistan. And Trump might have been expansive in his praise and so on, but that's the way I look at it. And more the trouble they are facing in Pakistan, greater are their leadership as heroes in Trump's eyes. They are willing to stand up to the masses, ignorant people, jihadists, and so on, as they would be branded, and they're still willing to do America's bidding. They deserve funding, they would deserve weapons, they deserve support for being loyalists to America's cause, particularly in the Middle East. This has happened many times before, and the recent uh, signing of Saudi-Pakistan defense agreement with the blessings of Americans is a case in point. Thank you.
I do agree with your analysis, but my question would then be, General Kulkarni, what does that mean for our own interests? Because this is a relationship in which so much was invested. And it seems as if that sort of symbiotic dependency, earlier the dependency on Pakistan used to be for Afghanistan. Ambassador seems to suggest that Pakistan is now useful in Trump's Middle East plans. We've heard other explanations which are about business. There's a sort of hot mic moment where the Indonesian leader can be seen talking to Trump about some sort of, conversation that involves Trump's son, that everybody has assumed pertains to private business and not matters of diplomacy. So there's the cryptocurrency business dimension. There's now the Middle East dimension. There's the Pakistani military that has always had institutional relationships with the American military. How do you see this new Trump-Pakistan pyar?
Barkha, all said and done, Pakistan, because of this geostrategic location, the need was always felt not now, since 47 and before. And that is the reason why the British have been substituted by the Americans. And so the need for America to be seen over there, because they find that this is the place from where they can eye on China, they can eye on Russia, Iran, the Central Asia, and of course now even India for that matter. Because the rising India is something that they cannot accept, neither see for themselves, that how is it that this brown country can rise and rise to a level that it can actually be competing with the in the world today. And that is something that bothers America and has been bothering, well, the Europeans earlier, more the British, but now, of course, with British now turning, it's a full circle, we are back again. But at this point of time, India counts, and India mustn't bother at all. India must stay straight, and as I see that all non-alignment or multilateral alignments stand, we are with everybody, and we are, for us, well, there are no permanent friends, no permanent enemies, but permanent national interests. And in that context, I see America also now understand that India holds its ground. India is also technologically far ahead. Economically, it is doing extremely well. Militarily, it can hold itself. And at this point of time, well, they wouldn't want to mess up with India, but at the same time, they would want to go along with Pakistan to be able to see to it that pinpricking India at all times, that look, you have someone as China next to you, and you don't have good relations with Pakistan. And the way you heard Trump say, well, I hope you will all stay together. And Shehbaz Sharif, smilingly saying nothing, but then of course trying to, managing that particular moment with Trump at that point of time. So Trump, I saw that Trump is a different style of a president. We have to live with it, but we have to hold our ground. Full marks to our diplomacy, full marks to India, because the way we have stood up, irrespective of whatever it may be, we don't care. We are holding our ground, and I think we've done a lot. The whole world looks at us as a more matured country, a more civilized country, a country that's holding itself, doing well in all fields. In every field, you find India is doing well and progressing. I think that's something we need to be proud of.
Yes. I think India has certainly held its ground by not giving Trump the flattery he seeks, by not being part of this sort of strange Trumpian drama that has unfolded in Egypt. But obviously India is resetting and shifting gears, and the visit of the Taliban foreign minister is an example of that. Before we come to that, I do just want to play out one more snippet, the last one from Trump's peace agreement moment, and this is his exchange with the Italian Prime Minister Meloni, where he's complimenting her on her good looks and then continuing to ramble on in some sort of odd way. Let's take a look.
Very much. Italy, we have a woman, a young woman who's, I'm not allowed to say it because usually it's the end of your political career if you say it. She's a beautiful young woman. Now, if you use the word beautiful in the United States about a woman, that's the end of your political career, but I'll take my chances. Where is she? There she is. You don't mind being called beautiful, right? Because you are. Thank you very much for coming. We appreciate it. She wanted to be here, and she's incredible, and they really respect her in Italy. She's a very successful politician.
I mean, Indrani, that moment alone shows that there is no diplomatic protocol, no sort of norms that you can actually bring into any moment that is being supervised by Trump. And all I keep thinking is that, imagine if Modi were standing there in this moment, or when Sharif was called to the podium. There's nothing he could do at that point to register protest. And can you imagine how it would play at home? I mean, what did you think when you saw that? I don't even know what Meloni was thinking at this point. I'd love to know. I wish there's a way that she will reveal her mind on this. But what did you think?
I thought it was beyond cringe, and it was it's actually unacceptable in even if you don't want to be politically correct, even if you want to compliment another leader. She is not just a woman, she's a head of government. You can't just sort of pick her out of a line and say, oh, you're really beautiful, thank you for coming. I mean, that's that's very disrespectful, and particularly disrespectful when she's the only woman head of government, I think, on that lineup. So that's what went through my mind. I mean, I'm pretty certain she wouldn't take very kindly to it, knowing just knowing all the stories that are said about Giorgia Meloni. But I think we'll have to wait for another version of her memoirs to see what she was thinking at this moment.
Absolutely. I just found it so, I don't know, cringe is the only word that comes to mind repeatedly. Ambassador, the question for you is on Gore, Sergio Gore, who has met with the Prime Minister. Now, he is going to be the envoy for not just India, but also for South and Central Asia. Given Trump's very profuse public praise for Pakistan, is it a matter of concern that the envoy, in a way, is not specific only to India? Ambassador Sachdev.
I think there can be two opinions about it. Firstly, having somebody in Delhi who is also looking after the region and Central Asia gives you an easy insight into forming of American opinion on that area. So you can engage with the ambassador in Delhi about Pakistan, about Afghanistan, about Iran, Central Asian republics, and India's policy towards it, etc. The other aspect of it, the flip side, would be that he would have less time to devote to India. He would be gallivanting around in other places, and the Americans tend to be fairly local in their diplomacy. He's not a carrier diplomat. So he would either be effusive or offensive to India, or probably both at various times. So for him to normalize about India would not be an easy task when he has competing interests with Pakistan, etc., etc. But then let's see how does it pan out. So far, so good. Uh, I think by seeing him, Prime Minister, External Affairs Minister, and others, the Commerce Secretary Commerce, uh, before he has presented credentials, is an exceptional moment, and he would be cherishing it. I hope he feels grateful for this gesture being made and sort of reciprocates. Thank you.
Just want to get quick comments on this from both Indrani and General Kulkarni before we move on to the Taliban. There's Gore meeting Prime Minister Modi before the formal sort of presenting of his credentials. But in the light of Trump's very public, yes, he also did wag his finger, General Kulkarni, at Shehbaz Sharif and said something about India and Pakistan. Now they must get along and so on. And Modi is my good friend. But the fact is he praised Asim Munir. The fact is he gave Shehbaz Sharif that importance. And now you have Gore. I don't know. Indrani would know better how unusual it is for someone to just sort of pass through the region and, meet the prime minister like this. But how concerned are you about the whole sort of, interest in Pakistan by the Americans? General Kulkarni?
Barkha, I would look at it, he's not a diplomat in that context, but then he's a very good friend of Mr. Trump. And in that context, I think, well, he can help, navigate. And time alone will say how he really is. But then all said and done, since he's a very good friend of Trump, that is number one. He is not a diplomat he's not a career diplomat. And he's a businessman more than anything else. Hopefully, he should be able to understand India better. And it would be in his interest that he understands India first before he makes a comment. And he mustn't look at it from the point of view India as business, because if that is what it is, because the Trump family seems involved in this entire South Asia in business and looking at Bagram space over there. So all that, I think it's time they saw India as someone which matters and a country which can bring in peace, a country which is not involved in all other activities, no hidden agenda. It's open, free to discuss, but not with this kind of a thing that, well, I discuss with you, I give you something, I want Bagram airspace to be made available to me, all the rare earth materials being given to me. If that be so, then I don't think he'll be a success. Otherwise, if he's here to understand India and see to it, probably he can be a success because he's a good friend of Trump.
We'll get to Bagram and Afghanistan in just a moment. But Indrani, your quick take on joining the dots between Gore's drop by for a visit to Prime Minister, meets with Jai Shankar, and in the context of Trump's sort of very lavish praise for Asim Munir in Pakistan.
Think the fact that Gore actually came in here, met the entire leadership even before presenting credentials is very, very unusual. But we live in very unusual times, and all the sort of niceties of diplomatic niceties have all gone out of the window. So, but he is close to Trump, or at least he's reputed to be close to Trump, and as far as I know, he will be only presenting credentials next year, early next year. And he will remain in the White House until then. The fact that he is also special envoy doesn't make him the ambassador to all of these countries. And I agree with Ambassador Sachdev that it is it's an opportunity for India to shape his opinion about this particular region. So we shouldn't. I don't think we need to worry that much about Gore being the special envoy to South and Central Asia.
Okay, let's get in the end towards what's been happening here in our country, and that is the visit of the Taliban Foreign Minister Muttaqi. Once again, a visit not without controversy. The first press conference kept women journalists out. After the backlash, the second press conference was organized and women were there alongside men. The very interesting thing was, of course, the statement after the talks, which endorsed India's position on Jammu and Kashmir. Mutaki's visit coincided with Pakistan first trying to bomb targets in Kabul, and then the Afghans hitting back, claiming that they had killed 58 Pakistani soldiers. But the visit by Mutaki to Deoband really did generate a debate here at home. You've had people like Javed Akhtar sort of saying, why these are the sort of, why are we doing this? There are others who are saying it's about hard security. The Taliban is not a threat to India and never has been from a security point of view. So I want last comments on this. I'll start with you, General Kulkarni, then to Indrani, and give the last word to the ambassador. How do you see the reset with the Taliban? There are, of course, portions or factions of the Taliban that have had long links with Pakistan, the Haqqani network being one of them. So we have to be very hard-nosed about this. General Kulkarni, how do you see it?
All said and done, India has good relations with Afghanistan, has always had good relations with Afghanistan, has invested almost over $3 billion, irrespective of what was happening to Taliban from Pakistan, and has actually won the hearts and minds of the Afghan people. And in that context, if Pakistan thought that Afghanistan was a strategic depth that they would use to, and just because they had trained the Mujahideens and who turned up Taliban later, and that the problem now with Tehrik-e-Taliban Pakistan, which is ideologically the same as Taliban, but not Taliban. And therefore, at this point of time, when Taliban, the Afghanistan and Pakistan don't see eye to eye, with Taliban in power in Afghanistan, we have invested a lot in Afghanistan. Afghanistan has seen that whether it's disaster, whether it's food, whether it's medicine, they can rely on India, whether it was cricket or any other field. I think this particular moment of Bataki in India and Pakistan wanting to attack Kabul is indicative that how, not just sensitive, but I would say rather Pakistan feeling so uneasy that Mutaki's presence in India itself has created problems for Pakistan. So for us as such, irrespective of whether Pakistan or no Pakistan, Afghanistan stands with us. We have stood with Afghanistan. We have good relations with Afghanistan. We must build on that thing. And Mutaki's visit has been actually a blessing in disguise for all of us.
Yeah. Indrani, do you agree with that? That obviously Mutaki's visit is a message not just to Pakistan, but also to Trump. The interesting thing is that India is on the same side as the Taliban on the Bagram airbase, even endorsing a statement that used the word unacceptable when there was a joint statement on the issue of military infrastructure in Afghanistan by other countries. But it's generated a big debate at home. Now, of course, we do not live in the age of shared values diplomacy. I think every country is here to forge a path that is about our own security or that country's own security. But do you think that there is a little bit of risk in this kind of high-level engagement, literally rolling out the red carpet for Mutaki? I mean, he was treated like a rock star at Deoband.
No, so Barkha, if I can take 2 seconds on this, but the most important step that India took, and literally the most important part of Mutaki's visit, was his visit to Deoband. And just to understand why, the Taliban are Deobandis. They are their ideological what do they call it, talim, as it is known, is derived from Deoband, but has come to them from the radicalized madrasas of Akhura Khatak and Madrasa Haqqaniya in Northwest Frontier Province in Pakistan. Therefore, for India to actually connect Taliban to, I think Mutaki had a word for it. He called it the Madare-Ilm. I think that's what he called it. It's very poor, but basically it meant that their spiritual home. And to remove the radicalization of the Pakistani ideologues. If India can moderate, not well, moderate is a tough word here, because the Taliban as a conservative Islamic entity may be more acceptable to other parts of the world than if they were Salafis or Wahhabis or other extreme ideologies. Now, there is the nuance is very fine, but whoever designed that visit in to Deoband for Mutaki is actually playing a very long game and playing a very interesting game by being able to temper the ideology. It's a little bit like if you're learning Chinese from China, you learn Chinese with the ideology. If you're learning Chinese in Taiwan, you learn Chinese without the ideology. I mean,
That's so
it's not,
interesting.
it's an imperfect analogy, but that bit is actually the most significant part of Mutaki's visit. If you just have to wait to see whether Taliban religious sort of leaders come to India, come to Deoband for their to learn, and that would then tell you where we are playing. Is it risk free? Of course not. But nothing in this world is risk free. Our the country with whom we transformed our relations has decided to turn on us. So I mean, nothing in this world is risk free.
Yeah, absolutely. Well said and very interesting. Ambassador, let me give you the last word. Do you agree? What have you made of Mutaki's visit so far? How did you see? It's been a very interesting visit. I mean, these were groups or an entity that was a pariah till a few years ago. They're now getting this sort of red carpet treatment at Deoband, but also speaking, by the way, at FICCI Chambers of Commerce. Now talking about flights between Amritsar and Kabul, asking Afghan minorities, Sikhs among them to come back. So, it's something very interesting is happening here. And it's coincided with the battle between Pakistan and the Afghans along the Durand line, which of course the Afghanistan people of Afghanistan do not even recognize as the border. So last word to you, sir.
Thank you. I'm honored. I'd like to begin with the Mandala theory of Chanakya, which talks about neighbor's neighbor being a friend.
Yeah.
So Afghanistan is a neighbor's neighbor. Between neighbors, they are supposed to have difficulties, but neighbor's neighbor can be a very close ally. And that is what India is doing, following Mandela theory. Now, coming back to Deoband visit, let me explain a bit. Deoband and Barelvis are two different streams of Islamic fiqh or jurisprudence. Now, Barelvis follows Salafi fiqh, while Deobandis follow Hanafi. Hanafi is supposed to be more moderate. And now that Salafi stream, backed up by Saudi Arabia and elsewhere, has taken roots in Pakistan, for example. And madrasas in Pakistan are Salafis, diehards, jihadis, and so on. We are now trying to put the fundamentalism of Hanafi stream of jurisprudence to Afghans. It's a two-edged sword. While Taliban can become moderated by Deoband's influence, reverse is also true. Talibanis can influence Deobandis by making them more radical, more vocal about those kind of streams. So it's a two-way street, and we would have to play it very carefully. Secondly, I think Taliban's difficulty with Pakistan is quite natural because ISI did try after August 21 to bamboozle Taliban regime for accepting the Haqqanis in the government, for accepting Pakistani bases there, etc., etc. So it was a big brotherly attitude. Remember the OIC foreign ministers meeting where Pakistan pleaded for OIC members to recognize Afghanistan under Taliban, etc., etc. And Taliban themselves were not allowed to participate in that one. So they resented Pakistan's role in trying to become a spokesman, trying to become an elder brother to Taliban in government. They had not forgotten the slights they had suffered during the past 2 decades when Pakistan played both ends of the game. It supported American assault on Afghanistan and fight with Taliban, dislodging Taliban, and then also tried to secretly supply Taliban with enough material to resist US occupation. So all that duplicity came back to haunt Pakistan. And I think the TTP and the Taliban are two different entities. TTP is rooted in Khyber Pakhtunkhwa, which is a different can of worms altogether, while Taliban's are Pashtun speakers rooted in Afghanistan. So to have them put on the same footing as Pakistanis often do is a self-fulfilling prophecy. Thank you.
All right, we will leave it there. I think, as Indrani said, many of these moves are they're very dramatic. There's a sort of dramatic shift taking place in the world, and India's adapted, I think, to those shifts with changes, much debated changes in its own policy. The engagement with Taliban is certainly one such policy that is being fiercely debated and discussed at home. A lot of curiosity about Motaki. We leave it there. Thank you so much to Indrani Bagchi, to General Kulkarni, Ambassador Sachdev. Always a pleasure. And to our audience, thank you. Trump will ensure, and geopolitics will ensure that there's never a dull moment. So I'm sure we'll see you again soon. And thank you very much. Take care.
It's great to see you here. Thank you for watching our work. If you haven't subscribed yet, don't forget to click the bell icon and subscribe to Mojo Story and support independent, robust journalism.